To understand what's happening in Israel's northern border today, we actually have to take a step back, and we have to look not at the Israeli-Lebanese or Israeli-Hezbollah conflict, but we have to take a look at a wider conflict, and that conflict is Iran. What is happening on Israel's northern border today is not actually a war between Israel and Hezbollah, but rather an American-Iranian war. America and Iran, or rather Iran is fighting America on the border of Israel. And it's within that wider context we have to understand the violence which has broken out. If you stop and think, the timing of this explosion in the Middle East, which is seeing unprecedented scenes which we haven't seen for many years here, including the bombing of Haifa, the bombing in Afula, in Sfat, and all along the northern border. And as we speak, there's serious fighting going on between Hezbollah and Israeli IDF soldiers on the northern border. We have to understand where that came from. I want to remind you that the day before this violence broke out, there was a meeting. That meeting was the G8. The G8 is the 8 most important countries in the world meeting to discuss. That G8 meeting was going to be discussing Iranian nuclear capability. On the eve of that meeting of G8, violence breaks out. And what we're seeing today is that the reality is that the war in Lebanon is actually serving Iranian interests. If we look at Hezbollah, and there you see a picture of Hezbollah on the right and Nasrallah, their leader, on the left, we can start to understand actually how important this war is. I remind you that the war on terror, if you like, started or began, or the turning point was at 9/11. That, if you like, excuse me, was the turning point for many events which were already brewing within the Arab world. But 9/11 and the bringing down of the Twin Towers and the attack in Washington, etc., marked a change and a turning point in the clash of civilizations. Since the attack of 9/11, we saw America, 1, go into Afghanistan, and 2, go into Iraq. Why is that important? Because it looks like today, dare I say it without upsetting our American friends, that the Mujahideen, the Islamic fighters, seem to be doing the unbelievable, which is defeating the American army in Iraq. I'm talking a lot about Iraq now, to understand Iran, to understand Lebanon. So the concept within this radical fundamentalism is that we have America on the run in Iraq. Why is that important? Because today, the Battle of Lebanon has much wider global implications. The short term we can understand, but the longer, bigger picture is much bigger. Why? Because Hezbollah sees this as a battle, 1 with Israel, 2 with the West. And who wins this? Well, if Hezbollah wins this, it looks like there's another defeat for the West, as in Afghanistan, as in Iraq, and now in Lebanon. If Israel wins it, it would change the balance in on the scales of this historic battle or clash between civilizations. I think it's important to stop and realize that what we're talking about is not just Israel and the Arab world. And we have this very Jewish perspective that is little Israel, bad Arab world. But what you're actually seeing with this clash in Lebanon is something which is interesting. Namely that the Arab world itself has been taken by shock. Have a look. Saudi Arabia came out condemning. Have a look. Why? Egypt, Jordan came out condemning. Remember, Egypt and Jordan turned around to Syria and said, if you want to fight Israel, we're not on. We learnt in 1967. In other words, many countries, including Saudi Arabia, including Jordan, including Egypt, see the Islamic fundamentalism presented by Nasrallah as a threat to their countries as well. Egypt has a problem with the Muslim Brotherhood. So does Jordan. So what we are seeing is a much wider battle